bonus content of this game like a motherfucker. Yeah, ready, go. And now we're back with the Legos. But back to that story I was talking about with the middle school. Yes, we're talking middle school days. Middle school Zach, still hasn't conquered the fucking anxiety attacks. Uh, got illness, was pissed off at everybody because he thought everybody was after his siblings, even though I was doing more harm than actual help to my siblings for, holding that reputation. But anyways, at that point, I went back to class. A lot of kids didn't help my cause at all because all they kept asking was, where was my brother? And they wanted to know. And my parents told me, Zach, don't tell people where your brother is. So it only just pissed me off more when they just didn't stop asking. They didn't understand that it was family business, and they don't need to fucking know where my brother was. I get it. That most people loved my brother. Even though he was a little bit weird, everybody could at least be friends with him because he was more friendlier than I was. And then people started seeing cooler sides of me, seeing how cool I was and stuff like that. And people started saying, why isn't he like this? And I think most of them understood. I think most of them understood years later why I acted the way that I did with their own experiences. They're like, oh, that's why Zach was angry. And they didn't hold any grudges, but I think they understood why I was angry. Because I didn't know how to control my emotions. 2, I thought everyone was up against my freaking siblings and bullying them. So I was basically being the protective older brother. I mean, I'm not the older brother, per se, but I was born a second earlier. But that doesn't fucking matter. I was trying to be a protective brother. I was trying to protect my fucking siblings from mental harm. Because they already went through so fucking much. I'm like, if they go through so much, I don't want to fucking lose another family member. Because again, I had the irrational fear of losing a family member constantly, every day. So I try to make it sure possible that I would secretly check and make sure they were alright. And I think that pissed them off too, because they're looking at me like, why the fuck is he looking at us? Because that was my irrational fear. I was scared that if I did one thing, if I let my guard down, or if anything else happened, that they would just be dead. Without warning. No, whatever. Dead. And again, that's the reason why I lost a lot of sleep at night. That's why I didn't get a lot of sleep. That's probably why I was more grumpy. 'Cause 1, I didn't get sleep. 2, I didn't eat. Yeah, I didn't eat during middle school. I was so fucking skinny in middle school. Then I started eating, and then I got fatter. The moment I stopped getting depressed, I just ate and ate and ate because I wasn't eating because I was depressed. I was eating because I didn't eat a whole lot of food, a lot of meals for the past few years. So my body was trying to catch up with the fucking growth hormones that, my depression stopped me from, eating a lot of food. So my body was trying to catch me back up. And now I'm in a couple of spots. I'm trying to, be very careful with how much I eat now. Especially how much chicken nuggets I should eat, because I don't want to fucking die of a clogged heart or whatever else. It's the last thing I want to do to you guys. I want to be around when my son or daughter starts their fucking first YouTube channel. You get what I mean? They don't have to start YouTube, but probably by the time they want to do the games that I did, by then, I'll go to the main menu because I'm trying to go to another menu. I know most of my children won't be able to do this stuff that I've done so far onto this channel. Because again, this is my time, and back then they weren't able to do a lot of stuff. They can't do 3DS games unless there's ports. I think I know what Nintendo's doing. I think they're doing a huge selection of Nintendo Switch Online games, and it's well, what are you talking about? Let me explain here. Why would they accidentally leak 2 N64 games, which, by the way, are rare games, by the way, as well, on the Wii U shop? And why the hell would they be suddenly closing down DSiWare just out of nowhere? They've been doing a lot of sketchy business practices lately, and it's been all leading up to the month, the same date that we've been hearing about all these games. March 31st, 2021. The same date. That date we've heard from the collection, the same date we heard from Fire Emblem. The same date that Mario 35 is going to end on. That same fucking date. No one knows what it means, but I think I'm starting to get the idea of what it means. I think it means that Nintendo is going to have a lot of onlines for a lot of their consoles. It's like, well, what are you talking about? Don't be shocked if this has happened before with the Wii, like where, you know, they stopped the DSi shop back in 2017 with the DS Lite. This is just business practice. But what if I told you they were making more than just the N64 online if that was the case? What if they were just getting them all done in one package, per se? And if they did, holy shit. The possibilities would be endless. Because I know porting games, especially like DS games, are going to take a lot of time. So they might want to start out with Game Boy games first. They don't have to port a lot of stuff, like the original stuff, because half of it already has a remake, so that's probably what they're thinking, like, hey, we don't need to port all this stuff. Half of this stuff is already, like, in the game library themselves, so it's like, why the hell isn't all 6 Mega Man games in the NES Online? Well, because they're already on the Switch in a freaking collection. So they're thinking to themselves, why the fuck would we just resell it again? That's stupid. And waste of money. Nintendo is weird how they do business practices, but I sort of feel a little bit of idea that they probably think that if we just put Mega Man again in the NES Online, that's wasteful, and everyone is going to say the same thing, even though they're like, oh, that's not true. They're all going to say, why the hell did they put Mega Man in the NES Online? There's already a collection. That's what Nintendo thought first. Like, why the hell do we need to put Mega Man and Castlevania in the SNES Online when they're already in collections? So that's why, like, you know, some of the good games, like, oh, where's Castlevania? They're already on the Switch. They're just in collections that you can buy for $60. So that's why they've been trying to put, like, unknown NES games in the SNES Online and the Super Nintendo Online. Because that's the only thing they can do that's not been fucking ported for a few years. And some of these games came from fucking Europe, and some of them came from Japan. Some games we've never heard of, yeah, that's because they came from Europe. And some of them were from Japan. Like, yeah, we've been getting some region exclusives. So most of them were from fucking Europe. That us Americans never got. But the Europeans did. I think some European guys have been getting some of us American games. Because the Europeans don't get a lot of our games. Major titles, they do. Not a lot of games. They don't get every game. Like, Australia has Pikmin 1 on the Wii. Us Americans didn't get that. I mean, Europe and Australia did. That was because they wanted to hit their markets with their consoles, because Australia really didn't get a lot of consoles. Brazil recently just, it recently got the Switch. So the reason why they're probably keeping Nintendo Switch Online things going for a little while is because Brazil just fucking caught up with the Nintendo Switch craze. So they're probably getting a lot of games over there, but they're probably being a little translated. So Getting half the library we have currently right now for Brazil is probably going to take another few years. Because there's a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch since the past. Going into this March, 4 years. Yeah, this is why I kind of want to get Switch games done too. Because in a moment's flash, the next console's going to show up. And then the next thing I know, oh, look at that. All the Nintendo Switch games. I can no longer re-download them. What a bitch. They're always like, we need to do all this stuff now. So then we don't have to, like, keep doing it in the future. That's kind of like somewhat of their business model is. I really don't know what it is. I never worked at Nintendo. You can't fucking yell at me if I really don't know. I'm just speculating here. I'm just trying to give myself a reason of why the fuck would they just, end the 3DS market. Because that's kind of dumb. People still use the damn thing. And when people hear about it, it's like, oh god, no, my 3DS shit. I'm not going to be able to play it anymore. What the fuck? So, probably for a lot of, like, YouTubers who've been trying to plan to do 3DS games, might want to do them now. Why do you think most YouTubers, like, long play guys, do the DS games as fast as they can? Because they get the idea of what Nintendo does. They understand how Nintendo works. Or, they try to get as much games as they can done because their times are so short and they want to get as much fucking Let's Plays as they can. Kind of like how I try to do it too. I'm guilty of the same shit. Trying to get as much Let's Plays as I can done. But unfortunately for me, I can't always do that. Because then people won't watch the fucking playlist. People won't watch the games. You need to make the game enticing so people will actually fucking watch it. That's the issue. You can't always speed things up. Because when you speed things up, people aren't going to watch it. That's why you gotta be very careful with what you choose as Let's Play and how you freaking do it. Alright, I talked too much in Tetris. I hope you guys enjoyed the buttload of Tetris content I gave you guys today. Don't worry, I'll be working hard to be able to do more bonus content for you guys, and if any more tournaments like this pop up, I'll do them. Just because it's only fair. And I will do an inverted edition of every single theme of Tetris. So that's going to be a lot more inverted edition. But I'll do it, like, off to off every time with other inverted editions, so they're not stacked all in the same pattern. So I hope you guys will be ready for that, too. Alright. I'll see you guys in Kirby's, Team Kirby Clash Deluxe. Bye, guys.